So we've been talking about biomes, and last week we focused a little bit more on what makes up a biome, so climate, diversity, things like that. For this week and next week, we are going to be talking about specific biomes each day. So every day will be a different biome of the 7 biomes that we talked about in the beginning, like desert, rainforest, wetland, tundra, those ones, okay? So today our focus is going to be on the desert, and after today's lesson, you should be able to explain 2 to 3 characteristics of a desert biome. So what is a desert biome and what it includes? So the desert is kind of a tricky one because when we think of desert, we think of hot places and dry places with a ton of sand, which is a desert, but there are actually 4 types of desert, and they don't all fit that image that we have of what a desert is. I know when somebody says desert to me, I think of the Sahara Desert, and I think of lots of sand and nomads and very hot, very dry, not a lot of plants. And so that is true, but there are also deserts that are very, very cold, that don't have sand, and that have very low temperatures. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But for today, your opener is when you think of a desert habitat, list 5 factors, either abiotic or biotic, that come to mind. And remember, abiotic is non-living and biotic is living. So when you think of a desert habitat, list 5 factors, abiotic or biotic, that come to mind. So, we've been talking about the desert. Your vocabulary word for today is desert. And a desert is defined by a dry, barren area of land, so empty, barren, that is characteristically desolate, so again, empty or not heavily populated, waterless, and without vegetation. So when you take away the temperature, we can see how cold places or Arctic places actually define what a desert is. So when you think of the polar areas, the North Pole and the South Pole, they're dry, even though they're ice. That ice is frozen, so it's not technically considered water. So they're dry, they don't have any plants on them, and if they do, they're very small, short, tiny plants that wouldn't really do much for the species living there. They can't really eat them, it's not enough to eat. So they are without vegetation, they're waterless, they're kind of empty, there's not a lot of species that live there, and they're dry. And so that's how some of our polar regions can also be considered deserts. So the 4 types of deserts that there are the hot and dry or subtropical desert. This would be like the Sahara. The semi-arid or cold winter desert. This is in places like Siberia where it can get cold and hot during the day. Then there's coastal deserts. These would be located on the coasts of countries where there aren't there's not enough vegetation or water to be considered in a different ecosystem, so they're classified as deserts. And then you have the last, the cold or polar deserts, which we find on the north and south. So some examples of deserts, I've talked about it a few times here now, is the Sahara. There's also our Arctic deserts in the North and South Pole. We've got the Atacama Desert, which is in the Asian continent, and then Siberian desert. These are colder deserts. And then there's a lot, though, throughout the world, but those are just some of the examples. And then on our Frayer model, I've used a picture of our typical desert with lots of sand, no vegetation, no rain, very sparse, not many animals, not many people. But you can use any image that you like or take notes, whatever best helps you. So that's our vocab for today. What you guys are going to do for the rest of the lesson is watch the following video on desert, and then in your student work document, you guys are going to take 5 important notes about this biome. So I want 5 notes or 5 facts that you learned in this video about desert biome. This can be anything. I'm not looking for 5 specific ones. I just want you to tell me 5 things that you learned about a desert. The one that I find the most interesting is that deserts can be cold. That's really interesting to me because when I think of a desert, I think of something that's hot and dry, and that's not necessarily true. So that's a good one that I like to use. And once you guys are done, we will move to our exit. So the exit for today is I want you to summarize 2 to 3 characteristics of a desert biome. So 2 to 3 characteristics. So what are 2 to 3 things that you learned today that define what a desert is? So if you want, go back to our opener or our vocab word that talks about what a desert is and use 3 of the characteristics that define a desert. And once you guys are done with that, you are done for science for today. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about my favorite biome, which is the rainforest, so I look forward to that. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. It's going to be a great week. I miss you guys as always, and I would love to see you all. Remember, our live sessions are every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 1 to 1:30. Me and Ms. Harvey go through the whole lesson. And then we have additional live sessions on Monday and Thursday from 10:30 to 11. So please stop by so I can see you, and you can say hey to us. Or you can just stop by because we go through the whole lesson, and by the time me and Ms. Harvey are done, you're done too, and your work is done for the day, which is awesome. So email me if you have any questions or concerns. I'm always available, and I've been popping in on GoGuardian and chatting with some of you too. So if you catch me there, you can always ask me questions there as well. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy science, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.